I'm Fatima Clavisillas, and with me in this group are Abulag, Eliza Ali, Agreta Giselle, Maureen Jessa, Ligada Karen Mia, Balyadas Jester, and Redosendo Christian. Our group today will report about the third chapter of the PCRA handbook, making PCRA results useful in CRM planning. The results of PCRA serve various purposes. First, it produces baseline information or primary data in the form of coastal area profiles. Second, it measures performance indicators for project monitoring and evaluation. This chapter will give us guidelines for making PCRA results useful to CRM projects. Producing a coastal area profile. The coastal area profile or coastal environmental profile is a document which presents the results of PCRA field methods in ways that will assist CRM planning decisions. It is also one of the most important outcomes of PCRA. As a quick recall, in Chapter 1, in the introductory part, PCRA is a multifaceted process, as you could see in the image diagram. It has 5 interrelated components. First, gathering of documented information. Second, direct observation and participation in assessing the local coastal resource system. Third, purposeful gathering of local knowledge. Fourth, generation of local feedback, primarily from local resource users, on information collected. And fifth is the integration of all the information generated in the first 4 components into a document called Coastal Area Profile. Basically, we need those 4 components, those data, those information in those 4 components in order for us to arrive at that 5th component and have the coastal area profile. Coastal area profile serve as an important information source during participatory planning. The basic descriptive information provided by profiles is useful, but the value of a good profile lies also in the compilation and analysis of the information it provides. Why? Because the proper and good compilation and analysis of data will provide reliable measures to be effectively applied in planning, assessing, monitoring, and evaluation for CRM. One kind of information, for example, decreased levels of live coral cover. It must be considered in relation to other kinds of information. For instance, low fish harvest and high siltation rates. This is to help ensure that the process results in meaningful conclusion which point to problems and opportunities for CRM. Often, ecological and other environmental factors must also be considered in association with socioeconomic variables, thus providing useful conclusions regarding such factors as the conditions of various habitats, potential for fisheries production, and social constraints that hinder the CRM process. The coastal area profile itself should be produced using a process that facilitates and encourages feedback from local resource users, which are the community. So as you see, we have these steps in producing a coastal area profile. First, we collect relevant secondary information from published assessment data from published field reports. Second, you're going to complete the PCRA methods, conduct initial compilation and analysis, and then get the feedback of the community. After that, process refill the data gaps with strategic research as required using PCRA or more scientific approaches. Next is to finalize the profile and use the profile in CRM planning. In finalizing the profile, this process may need a higher level of understanding about the current condition of the coastal area, as well as more polished writing skill. The technical working group from among the participants may be organized to do the actual write-up of the profile. A good general procedure is to first conduct a preliminary analysis of the PCRA results. Second, produce a draft profile. Is an initial document. It is for community review, feedback, verification, and correction. Third, in an appropriate setting with community members, the main points and findings of the draft profile can be presented and reviewed. It is also helpful to explain the analysis of findings concerning constraints and opportunities, since fishers, one of the locals, can validate or question many of the basic assumptions as provided by the report. Once fishers have validated the findings of the field assessment activities and the subsequent analysis, you can then take the local feedback into consideration in producing the final version of the profile. In this phase, we had our assessment findings explained to the fisher folks and have it checked and approved. So for example, we presented an analysis of findings about coral reef in the area. We laid the good sides and the bad sides, such as the good conditions of corals, and in the other hand, the visible decline of the coral diversity. And then fishers can also share important inputs and may attest with the findings or may check and validate the data or the result itself. So using the finalized profile in CRM planning completes the process of making PCRA useful in coastal resource management. This is when local feedback can help, since local resource users are more likely to consider in their planning decisions information that they help generate than information that comes from outside sources. In addition, if other stakeholders have also had significant input, like organizations or participating private organizations or agencies, a profile can serve as the common reference for all involved in the planning. If all stakeholders feel their knowledge and opinions are considered, the profile can also help catalyze or speed up the planning process. When the final version of the profile has been completed, distribute copies to all stakeholders and begin motivating them to join in CRM planning. So as what you can see, we have the outline for the coastal environmental profile. Basically, it shows us the basic outlines, what it should contain, the main points, and the specific points it have. First, it's being listed like a table of contents. First, you have the list of tables, list of figures, list of acronyms and abbreviations, acknowledgements, the introductory part, which shows a glance about the issues, the location, the objective, the scope, and the important definitions. Second is the physical features. Next is the natural resources in the area, social political setting. Next, the economic sector, which consists of fisheries, the aquaculture, tourism, industry, and others like the agriculture, forestry, similar parameters as shown above. And we also have the institutional and legal framework. It has the introduction, current state of the Philippine Coastal Zone law, local government, non-governmental organizations involved in ICN, integrated coastal management, community organizations, and lastly the management issues and opportunities. This is now where stakeholders and appropriate analysis are included for environmental, economic, political, and institutional.
Hi, I'm Giselle, and I will be talking to you about presenting numerical information in CRM projects. Interviews and household surveys generate a lot of numerical and quantitative data. These data are usually collected in raw format, and thus the information is difficult to understand and boring all on its own. Therefore, raw data needs to be summarized and processed and be presented in a way that is easy to understand and be very visually entertaining. Moreover, these newly compiled information will be valuable in presenting the importance of a project and will be highly relevant to CRM planning. So in presenting numerical information, tables and graphs are the go-to ways to make diverse set of data, like the data gathered in coastal area profiling, more understandable and attract, sustain the audience and effectively present large amounts of information. A table is best suited in representing individual information in an organized rows and columns. It is best suited in comparing sets of values but only the very gist of it. Tables make it easy to spot trends, so it is very useful in trying to show the set of data regarding the number of fishers in each community. Divided it by the annual catch in each of that community to produce the additional informative values such as the average annual catch per fisher. So the primary purpose of graphs and charts is to present a quantitative information to the audience in percentage. It visually shows the magnitude of important values and facilitates comparison. That is why it is crucial to decide what kind of message you want your audience to receive. This helps you in selecting important data from the worksheet and into the presentation. To summarize, we are often encouraged to present our findings, especially in making PCRA results useful in CRM projects. Tables and graphs are visual representations that are used to organize information and present it in patterns and relationships.
Making composite thematic maps. After completing PCRA mapping method, the CW will have a large collection of various kinds of maps. For the purpose of producing coastal area profile, it is often helpful to create a new maps by combining and refining the map made by local resource users and combining locally produced maps with maps produced by experts such as Numerical. For instance, one can combine group-produced maps of mangroves and group-produced maps of corals with a map that shows locations of scientific study sites to produce a thematic map of selected coastal habitats and study site locations. In Figure 3.4, it shows that the sample thematic map made by compiling several individual maps, including maps produced by local fishers, using PCRA methods and showing mangroves, coral reefs, and other features of San Vicente, Palawan. The simplest way to make thematic maps is to trace onto a single piece of paper elements from two or more separate maps having different elements. Maps drawn to different scales can be redrawn to a common scale using the grid or scaling technique. To present signboard maps in a coastal area profile, use photographs or reverse the grid or scaling procedure to reduce the maps to a size that will fit the format of the profile.
Hello everyone, I am Jessa Maureen. I am tasked to discuss about other useful diagram. One useful diagram is a box and arrow or flow diagram which shows the relationships between various components, factors, or conditions of the coastal resource system. Numerous kinds of diagrams can be used to visually present verbal or numerical data collected through PCRA methods. Figure 1 shows sample flow diagram showing current situation for coastal resource users of one barangay in Palawan. These diagrams are often helpful in showing cause and effect relationships. They are usually based on discussions on historical trends and the causes of these trends.
Evaluating coastal resource management opportunities, constraints, and issues. The analysis should always be guided by two questions. First, what aspect of the PCRA results suggests various opportunities or potential for maintaining or improving CRM and sustainable coastal development? Second, what aspects of the PCRA results indicate problems or obstacles for CRM and sustainable coastal development? This process involves drawing connections between a number of diverse factors. The strong interrelatedness of natural and social phenomena must be considered. Opportunities for the improved CRM reflect the potential for profitable enterprises based on coastal reproductions. The following coastal reproduction is mariculture, while the constraints involves mixture of biophysical and social conditions that hinder the realization of promised profitability. The key to effectiveness. The analysis must often go through several cycles or iteration before a sufficiently deep and accurate understanding is obtained. Participatory discussions and feedback sessions are useful, especially when used with flow diagrams such as the one depicted in the figure. Flow diagrams can help show the relationship between various environmental and social conditions that are revealed through PCRA. After opportunities and constraints analyzed, a set of fundamental CRM issues should develop. CRM issues are primary factors that must be addressed for CRM to be successful. This issue also take positive form and mention the specific opportunities once it addressed. It may be difficult to always make issue statements with real positive elements. However, since constraints often outnumbers opportunities and the existing constraints often cloud the opportunities for an improved situation. When PCRA results are carefully analyzed, most CRM issues can be related to human behavior. CRM involves unwise human activity in coastal areas and indicate problems in coastal resources regime or operative systems of right and responsible regarding coastal resource use. Issues characterized as stemming from an absence of positive behavior and not as arising from negative actions. Common issues are open access coastal resource regimes, conflicts between resources users, destructive harvesting methods, and degraded coastal habitats. Once the fundamental CRM issues identified, recommendations can be made.
In this slide, I'll talk about giving recommendations. So first and foremost, what is recommendation? Recommendation is the act of recommending or calling attention to a person or thing as being suitable for a particular purpose. Anything that recommends something or gives a positive or appealing impression. Coastal region profiles, on the other hand, usually end with a set of recommendations that can be used as a starting point for coastal resource management planning. So first, recommendations are made to address the coastal resource management issues that have been identified. For example, destruction of coastal ecosystem like mangroves. Mangroves are being destroyed for a variety of reasons including logging and agriculture. So in order to avoid this problem, deforestation should be prevented, and reforestation can aid in the conservation of the mangrove forest. Human activities should be limited, and fisheries should be managed in a sustainable manner. Second, accuracy and specificity can be improved with local participation and feedback as the recommendations are developed. For example, a training program involving local communities should be created to teach about the value and contribution of marine and coastal resources. They must also be able to manage and maintain the area in order to ensure the continued development of the resources. Lastly, good suggestions are highly specific. As a result, rather than proposing business expansion in general, detailed facts about the viable business possibilities, scales, and schedules should be provided.
Hello, I'm here to present my report about project monitoring and evaluation. So, a good project monitoring or evaluation report requires an indicator system that should serve as a primary guide determining the type and form of information gathered during the PCRA. This indicator system can be categorized into different types such as environmental, socio-demographic, and ecological and institutional systems that can be found in the area. Much of the real value of PCRA lies in providing information for initial CRM planning and implementation. A great deal more information is needed to make monitoring and evaluation successful. The greater value of PCRA is realized when it facilitates initial and subsequent decision regarding actual project activities and interventions. However, data gathered from PCRA serve various purposes. First, these are the primary basis for the development of the coastal environmental profile, which are essential for CRM planning. They are also used to measure performance indicators for project monitoring and evaluation. Proper assessment and evaluation are an effective tool in raising awareness as well as a reference point for future research and CRM assessment. So that's all, and thank you for listening.